Welcome to Heart, where we break the silence, bridge the gaps, and bring real conversations about mental health to the forefront. I'm your host, Lee Yaffe, founder and director of The Long Short Road. I'm so grateful to be joined today by Ari Abramowitz and Shmuel Feigenbaum from Nevut. Ari is the founder and executive director of Nevut, which is an organization dedicated to IDF lone soldier veterans. Nevut provides mental health, career advancement, and community for these veterans when they return to their home countries. Ari served as an infantry lone soldier in the Kfir Brigade, and is currently in the IDF Carmeli Reserves. He lives in Rockland County, New York, with his wife Rachel Shira and 5 children. Fun fact, Rachel Shira is a childhood friend of mine. And Shmuel Feigenbaum, MSW. Shmuel holds a master's degree in social work and is currently pursuing a PhD in social welfare. He is the well-being program director at Nevut. He served in the IDF in the Air Force Engineering Corps, operating heavy machinery, and was deployed 4 times during the current war. Wow. Hi, guys. I'm so
Hey,
grateful, humbled to be with you.
thank you so much for having us on. It really means a lot to us to be here as well.
Thank you.
Yeah, very excited.
Before I jump into the questions I originally wanted to ask, because this was in Shmuel's bio, now Ari, I want to ask you, how many times have you been deployed since this war began?
I've been 3 times since this war, and again, we were called up 5 times, and I was only able to make it to 3 of them back to Israel with a big family and running organization. But it has been a very intense and meaningful experience so far.
Wow. Wow. I am excited to get into that. So, Nevut was founded in 2017, and
Correct.
you have provided support from so many different angles since its inception. And having been witness to the organization since the inception, I feel like every time I blink, you guys are doing something new, and it's amazing. And my question though is, you were providing very essential needs for lone soldier veterans prior to October 7th. How has that, what has shifted in the way that you have needed to show up? And how have you shifted the organization to meet the needs of veterans post October 7th?
Perfect. So it's actually fascinating for so many people before the war. There was no concept of mental health and soldiers. It was just very nice. You did your army service. You served in the IDF. Kol hakavod to you. We appreciate it, and everyone was thankful. And then you just move on in life. And really, the challenge came to no one recognized what the army does to a soldier. And that was something for years that I was screaming out like people don't realize soldiers are really hurting after their service many times from seeing so many things, whether it's counter-terror operations, being on such a high level of stress. And no one recognized that, including after the 2014 war in called Sukeitan, there was many soldiers that were coming back and it was just, okay, the war is over, everyone moves on in life. And so when the beginning of the war happened on October 7th, I actually got the news from Shmuel, who's he was the one that broke the news to me, and I was totally not in belief. Did not think that for a second it was true. I was like, there's no way that we're getting attacked right now by Hamas with 100 people dead. That was right at the beginning.
And 100 people that was an unheard of number already.
Correct. And so right when the war started and I got called back to the reserves, I said I couldn't go right then. I said, we have work to do here. We had thousands of soldiers to be able to deal with that are in the United States and that were reaching out, the parents, spouses, should I go back? Should I not? I'm going back right now. Which flights do I get on? How do I get back there? And I recognized from the first second that we started sending people back, and even when the war started, however long this war is going to go, we got to remember one thing. There's a battle after the war. And if we stay focused on that with our mission, we're going to be able to do a lot of good because again, everyone just the whole world, the whole Jewish world just picked up and the whole world in general just said, what can we do for Israel? Everyone was sending things over, whatever they could do. And again, we sent gear to our soldiers, made sure they had the equipment they need, the bulletproof vests, the helmets, making sure they just had a hug. We went down to the front lines to make sure everyone was okay and visiting them, supporting them. But it was always with that one sentence of Nevut is here for the battle after the war. And that was from day one.
Yeah. Shmuel, I want to turn to you for a moment. You have your boots on the ground really seeing, I mean, from personal lived experience as a veteran who's returned multiple times, but also as the, wellness director, what are you seeing of the mental health of the soldiers? Like what's going on? Give us your perspective.
Right. Wow. So right. I actually did not used to work for the Nevut. I used to work in a clinic as a psychotherapist when the war started. And I used to run the Rockland County chapter for Nevut. And then, first thing, like one of the, not it wasn't the first thing, but one of the things really went through my brain was when soldiers will come back, we're gonna have a lot to deal with. And then I went for my first deployment. I came back to start working for Nevut, and there's a lot of different challenges when the soldiers come back, and it could be breaking into different types of challenges because not every soldier will experience PTSD.
Right.
Not every soldier will experience uh, when they come back a tremendous challenge.
Right.
Some of them do, some of them don't, and even those who do, there is a possibility for us to prevent
Right.
the PTSD. So that because PTSD is post-traumatic stress disorder, right? And it's after the traumatic event. But even now we have a window, and it's very important for me to say that when soldiers come back, we have a small window where we're able to even people who are there's a high possibility that they will develop PTSD. We have a window where we could stop it, and we could actually give them tools to not develop PTSD. And then you have the ones who do develop PTSD, and they do struggle, and it comes in so much painful ways. It comes not being able to sleep at night, not being able to be in crowds. It's like I was out with a soldier, and we had a lot of people around us, and I could see in his eyes the terror
Yeah.
and the hurt. And that's something that didn't I knew that soldier from before the specific war, and that's something that didn't exist.
Right.
And you could see that the unsettlement in the body, and how the body tenses up. And yeah, there's a lot of different ways where soldiers take it. And it's definitely something that they need help with.
Yeah. Yeah. I just got tears in my eyes as you were sharing that story about this, about being it just, yeah. And there are many ways that these things may develop. But I want to go back to something that you said about that window of opportunity, that it's not just, a person comes home, a soldier comes home from the war and like that's it, they're doomed. And Chas v'shalom, even if they're already at a point where they're experiencing challenges, they're not doomed then either, right? These are not death sentences, God forbid.
Right.
Um, but that's also why it's so important that this organization exists, to make sure that you're catching them in that window. One of the things that I appreciate so much about the work that you all do, watching from the sidelines over here, is that you fill their bucket of need in more than one way, right? So, and I think you both know and recognize that supporting someone who needs support is not just you don't just give them therapy and say, cool, you're done, right? Like you're doing a lot for them. So I'm curious what the things that you're doing are. Um, partially because I think also it's important for the community of lay people who are not soldiers and are not veterans to hear about what's happening, because I still wonder if people fully understand the depth of what is needed.
I would say the one thing that's so important is what our goal is with every soldier that comes through is that they know that no matter what, we are going to take every single one of them as an individual. Look at them as in a holistic approach of you might not be a person that needs a job right now, so that might not fit your bucket, but you might actually right now need a group. You might not need a group. You might need just an individual therapist. You might just need someone that could just talk to you. And you know what? You might need help with your relationship that you're going through right now because your spouse doesn't understand what you're dealing with, or your parents. That's what makes Nevut unique is we take this long-term approach in a holistic view. And I think that's something that's very unique about the organization that we created isn't just a one stop and your one option you have and that's it.
So actually, I want to turn the question now back on you guys. As I mentioned you both mentioned in the beginning of this conversation that you've both been deployed multiple times during the war, like since October 7th. My question is, having boots on the ground in this way, like I mean, what's your perspective on how you're also able to like take care of yourselves and show up for yourselves? Because you're also veterans, you're also being deployed. Like, how does that work for you guys?
Yes, the truth is, it has been wild because I also do my reserves, and I also work full time for the organization. So that means that during work hours, I'm fully available, fully um uh, fully do what I'm supposed to do. Still speak to the soldiers, make sure programs work, programs happen. And then with my PhD, like there's literally times where because I operate heavy machinery, there are times I take with me my computer and I take with me papers, and there's like these small breaks that I'm able to have. For example, if I drive like a big pilkita, I don't know how to say it in English. It's a type of dump truck. And so when I'm getting loaded, I quickly take out my computer to my papers, I'm able to put in like a 5 sentence for my assignment, for example. At the beginning, so this at the beginning of the war, when it was really hectic, I really slept 3 hours a day because of that. I drank like 15 cups of coffee a day. But once I realized that I'm breaking my body apart, I said, okay, I need to take a break. So I came back to the States. But yeah, it has been a wild experience.
Ari, what about for you? Because you're also like, I think the last time you were deployed was right before Rachel Shira had a baby. Like, you guys just had a baby. Mazel tov.
Thank you for that. I'll tell you like this. It was like I mentioned before on the day of October 7th when was a Shabbos and we got called and before that even when Shmuel banged on the door saying that there's a war happening and then getting called a few hours later from my officer. I told him that I needed time to be able to come to Israel, and we fielded thousands of calls during those few weeks. And then I was able to get to Israel. And at the same time, I was serving on the front lines in the north of Israel. It was definitely a very, very challenging piece to be able to balance an organization and be able to you be fighting in the war at the same time.
Yeah.
You don't have always your phone with you. It could be for a few days, few hours, wherever it may be. And there's people that need that support. So you built a system that you're able to help at the same time. The biggest challenge has been I'm going to throw this out there for the families because they don't even know what's going on when you could technically know what's going on and things are okay, they might be okay, whatever you're doing. It was that worry that the spouses had at home, not knowing what's going on, which is a whole nother topic we can get into. But that was such an important piece as well to be able to balance the work, the family life, and the war itself while you're actually fighting it. Because again, it's important. You have many people that are relying on you. So that was part of my experience. So it's just been a very, very challenging time. But you know what I think the beautiful piece is? This is what everyone in Israel is dealing with. Everyone. And that's something to be able to remember. It's not easy for anyone right now. And this is something where we have to remember we're doing things that are extraordinary, but you know what? Everyone in Israel, all the people we know are dealing with the same thing, and that's what's incredible. It's not one person, it's a nation of people doing this.
Yeah. Well, maybe it was like after your first deployment, you and I had a conversation and I asked you, what is the most shocking thing about coming home? And one of the things you said is the comments that people make, seemingly lovingly, seemingly in jest, making jokes that are horrific for anyone, like things that veterans do not need to be hearing or be on the receiving end when they come home. What is it that the community, that all of us who are not soldiers, who are not veterans or who are not spouses of veterans or children of veterans, just the average person who's benefiting from your service, what can we do to make your load lighter when you are home?
100%. it's something that I hear so many times and questions I experience so many times with people asking. And every time people ask that, it triggers. And or there's like or sometimes I think to myself, dude, I just hear that question come out of your mouth. I don't say it to them because no, at the end of the day, I'm going to educate. I'm not going to attack. But so I'm just going to say some examples of questions that you should never ask a soldier. Is for example, it's a question that it seems that you shouldn't even need to say,
Right.
not to ask. And it's a famous question: Did you kill anyone?
Right.
And what's the problems with that question? So there are two things that could happen. One thing is maybe the soldier killed someone, and what could happen? It's an abnormal event. So that means it will affect that individual. So when you asking him if you killed someone, you could trigger him. You don't know what background and struggles he's having, and when you ask that, usually people ask that for their curiosity,
Right.
and is it worth it for your curiosity to be settled and to really have that effect on that soldier? And even if the soldier didn't kill anyone, the way that the question is asked is in a way that oh, if you didn't kill anyone, you didn't sacrifice.
Right.
So but the soldier sacrificed so much, just the fact of him leaving his life, or even not leaving his life, being in such a scenario, if even if he's in a mandatory service, yeah, and not in reserves, being in such a scenario, it's such a sacrifice. So right. So there are two ways where why this question is wrong in both ways, even if he killed it, even if he didn't, and that's why you should avoid such a question. Or question is like, do you have PTSD?
Right.
Right. One of the things that a lot of times soldiers do not want to ask for help is because they seem weak. By asking, do you have PTSD? First of all, the soldier knows that he has such types of behaviors due to his experience, right? So you don't know what you're bringing back with that question. You don't know how. Oh, I'm degrading you right now. The soldier could feel degraded that he has PTSD.
Right.
And even if you want to ask soldiers questions, a lot of times they're not ready yet to speak about it. It's still too fresh, and because it's too fresh, they're not going to answer. Not only they're not going to answer, they're going to feel resentment. And I want to say it's hard because let's not step away from curiosity, and let's, for example, speak for a second on parents and spouses. A lot of times, parents and spouses will ask questions because they care for their child or their husband, right?
Right.
Or their wife.
Right.
And then they get that response from the soldier of the soldiers like, oh, why the heck did you ask that question?
Right.
Right. And it didn't come from a bad place.
Right.
They're just trying to communicate with the soldier, but they don't know how.
Right.
And that no matter what, putting pressure on the soldier to answer or to share is never going to be a good thing. Yeah. And for example, questions like, did you serve in Gaza? Oh, did you go into Lebanon? What if the soldier served in Yehuda Shomron?
Right.
Yehuda Shomron is crazy as well.
Yep.
And if the soldier didn't serve in Yehuda Shomron, he served in the Kiryat.
Right.
But at the end of the day, the sacrifice is still the same sacrifice.
I think one of the things that people have to recognize, and I've seen this so many times before, what was if I served and I finished the army right before October 7th, or I finished 5 years ago? And the big question that comes up from people, oh, did you go back?
Right.
And what happens if I didn't go back?
Right.
You have people that unfortunately they can't. It's not the right time for them. They have a wife, they have a they have a spouse, and all of a sudden they have a child they're expecting. They're in school, they got injured. They're just not available to her. They're not in the right space to her. Financially, they're not able to. And all of a sudden, these soldiers or these veterans now have to start answering back. Well, I wanted to go, or I was planning on it, I wasn't able to. It is the most uncomfortable thing for them. And you know what? In a sense, people degrade them. And again, what Shmuel brought up even more that people have to understand is these people have given so much for the Klal Yisrael, for the Jewish people. They've given everything. And so now they can't go, and to just be able to look at them and be like, yeah, okay. You just give like that, okay, big deal. Like, oh, you weren't really there. You don't really know what it is. It's the most painful thing. Like Shmuel said, oh, you weren't in Gaza, so that's a big deal. And I'm going to throw this even more. I didn't have that opportunity to go into Gaza personally. And even then, what happened? We were called to go into Lebanon the second time when we got called back for the fourth time, it was right before Rosh Hashanah, and it was right when the beeper attack happened, the pager attack in Lebanon, all the Hezbollah terrorists. And I knew that we are going to go into Lebanon. Then I reached out to my officer and I said, it's right before Rosh Hashanah and Sukkot, Simchat Torah, and I know I'm not going to be able to go right now because of the organization. I want to be able to come after.
Right.
And it was a very challenging thing for me because you have two worlds right here. Here you have the opportunity. You're about to go into this whole next stage of the war. This is something that you've been training for your whole life to be able to do. I couldn't go into Gaza just 2 months before that because of the organization, organization needed to be able to run properly and financially as well, and also for the family. But now all of a sudden, here's the opportunity and I can't go in. And we're all going in to be able to go on this massive mission. And unfortunately, well, while being here again, Shmuel was back in Miluim at the time. It was Shmini Atzer, so it was on a Thursday this year. We were at the meal, and I get a message from that Shmuel reached out that there was because he was in Israel already, and that there was soldiers in Carmeli that were killed. And I was okay, Carmeli, there's 4,000. Sorry, there's between 2 to 4,000 soldiers in that unit, and there were 4 of them killed, 6 injured. And one of the soldiers showed me a picture of the people. I'm like, that's my teammates.
Oh my God.
These are my guys that I'm with. These are my 20 of us that we're part of. This is them. These are the people that were killed. And now there's 6 more injured. And I'm not there. I'm here in America. It's over Chag. It's over the holiday. It's over Shabbos. I have no idea what's going on. I don't check into it because I'm not able to because I'm not there.
Right.
No idea what happened to my teammates. No idea, what caused of it. I missed all the funerals. And then, if everyone remembers, there were no flights. So all of a sudden, there was a flight for like $6,000-7,000 to go by the Shiva. And I still didn't know what happened. 6 of my teammates are all in the hospital. And again, I'm part of that 20 people. So all of a sudden, we were cut in half. And what happened, all these details of it. And the same questions that we're saying to the civilians, don't ask. As a soldier that's part of this whole team, I'm going to go right now and ask my teammates, hey, what happened?
Right.
Like, I couldn't even do that to my own teammates. So I'm part of who I was with during this war. I was with them for the past 10 years.
Wow.
So I'm just saying for everyone out there to understand, there's also called secondary trauma. There's other pieces of that. For myself, even the struggles that I deal with, not having been there. Again, I was planning on going back literally a few days later. And again, this happened, and then our team is not there anymore. And again, we had to reconstruct. We're half a team, and we went back again. I was back. I got back right before Purim just now. We went in because my wife had a baby, so I had to come back earlier. But I was able to be there. But it's half a team, and everyone's hurting, and everyone's talking about it. Just being able to talk in between each other. There's tremendous hurt and pain. But for me, I can't say, oh, I was that hero in the middle of that explosion where my teammates were killed and I was able to save lives. No, I wasn't even there.
Right.
And I wasn't in Gaza, but I was there. I was part of this war. And then people that weren't, as a community, we have to wake up to this and recognize, thank everyone. You serve now, you didn't serve now, you served 10 years ago. You are part of the same thing that's protecting Am Yisrael. Don't take yourself lightly for that.
Yep.
And sorry that my passion comes out in this because
No,
this
why are you apologizing? This is what we need to hear. I have a final question for both of you. If there's a soldier, a veteran, someone who's in active, in mandatory service, any soldier who's listening right now, that's not getting the support they need, that's not getting the help they need, do you have a message for them?
I'm gonna share my thoughts on this. Anyone that first of all hears this, a soldier that hears, or a parent or a spouse, there's a fascinating thing that happened by our wellness Shabbaton that we had. We have a peer support specialist who's a U.S. Marine Special Forces, and he comes to does programming for us for well-being. And I went over to him. I said, Dan, I have a question for you. What's the age that people in the U.S. military go and start getting part of these other organizations, get involved with like veteran organizations or other things? And he's like, the earliest is 35 years old. I'm like, 35 years old? He's like, yeah, people don't want to be able to deal with this type of stuff for a long time. And I said, that's it. We're going to change that for lone soldiers here. If that's something we could do, let's make it that an organization that the people that are coming out of the army, of course, you got to figure out your career, figure out your next step. We want to make it that you feel so comfortable that it doesn't have to wait, that you're struggling for 15 years or waiting another 10 years till you start saying, oh, maybe I should get a community now. And that's our goal, is to change that narrative from being 35 years old to someone that's coming out that they're 19, 20, 21. We're relevant to you. We're here for you, whether it's helping you with a job, you want to come for a good networking event, you want to be able to come and just speak to someone about what your next step should be. Hey, you want to just be able to make sure that you just that you're going the right direction, or hey, I just want to have a good time. I want to go paintball shooting with you because there's other people I could connect with, or have a nice barbecue together. Come together, be part of this, and you know what's going to happen? You're going to be able to help so many other people out there as well. You're going to feel fulfilled. You're going to make a difference in so many other people's lives. And if you're good, help the next one around you. Be the buddy for the next person.
Wow.
I want to add the fact that right, we experienced what we experienced and we went through what we went through doesn't mean that now we ruined our life and now our life is ruined.
Right.
We could take that experience that we went and that we had, that experience that right now it's causing us tremendous pain, tremendous challenges, but we could take that and we could use that to grow ourselves into becoming better persons, into becoming stronger people. And we don't have to just say, we don't have to kick it away. We could embrace it, take it, and utilize it to push ourselves to the next level of who we could be.
Wow. Beautiful. I mean, wow. Kol hakavod to both of you. Kol hakavod to the organization. Hashem should give you all so much koach to keep going and doing this and being able to get the support you need and supporting others, and really just incredible work that you're doing. And thank you so much for sharing so much of yourselves and being so vulnerable and sharing, the real truth of what's happening, off and on the battlefield. So thank you guys so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you for tuning in to Heart to Heart. If you or someone you love is struggling, please know there is hope and help is within reach. Since 2019, the Long Short Road has been walking alongside at-risk individuals, offering trauma-informed programs, a non-emergency hotline, and a community that fosters healing. No one has to go through this alone, and we are here for you. Discover how the Long Short Road is changing lives. Visit www.thelongshortroad.com or email us at info@thelongshortroad.com to learn more. You can be part of this mission. Sponsorship opportunities for Heart to Heart are available. Honor a loved one, support your community, and help us make mental wellness resources accessible to those who need them most. Until next time, remember, love and connection are the greatest healers. This is Lee Yaffe reminding you, hope is here, healing is possible, and you are never alone. Together, we're walking this long, short road to a brighter future.